I'm Malcolm Nance. This is welcome to day 52 of the U.S.-Iran war. I've lost track how many days it's been since the ceasefire. I'm going to say it's 9 or 10 at this point. Actually, it should be 12 because the ceasefire is going to end in 2 days. So, welcome again to the Black Man Spy, U.S. Iran Warcast, Peacecast, Ceasefire Cast, whatever. I have no clue. But as we are waiting for my erstwhile partner, Wajeeh Lion, to come on, I just want to let you know Jacob Kaarsbo is on his way to Kyiv, Ukraine for the Kyiv Security Summit. I actually wanted to go to that, but because of this war, we have completely lost track of all time related to this mission. But good morning. As you can see, I am not in Canada, and I'm not even in my writing office. You guys know that. I am down in the mother-in-law's ensuite here in this house because that's where the Wi-Fi is, and we found out that we have a router problem in the house, and there are one, two, three, four four mesh network repeaters, and none of them are working. So we got to get an IT guy in here. I was getting like no signal upstairs in the writing office, which is not normal, but it's been getting progressively work. But down here, fiber optic, lightning fast. So that is why we are doing it. Yeah, you called it, right? Yeah. And I want to thank everybody who was giving me recommendations on the Wi-Fi. And yes, it is a nice wall color. One of these days, I'll do a private chat and you will get a tour of Shea Malcolm, which is a house that's so big, it actually has a name. So, but that's all I'm going to say about that. This is, again, the mother-in-law's ensuite. There's a lot of art on the wall for those of you who are wondering what that is behind me. And we will see, yes, we have classy chandeliers. And if you knew how many those chandeliers, those brass chandeliers, had to be installed, you would cry. So that being said, I'm just waiting for Wajeeh to come up. What's up with him? Shusarmak, Wajeeh. I'm going to press him again and send him another invite. Let's see what's going on. Wajeeh, if you can hear me, drop out, accept that new invite, and come back. Because I know you got some headgear. Look, see, already people are already calling for the
How about
Ya
now?
Wallahi! Alhamdulillah.
I was here for the last 4 minutes.
Alhamdulillah, baby. Welcome, Mabruk, Mabruk. Ya akhi. والله
وينك
والله
انت
يسترها.
وينك انا ادق عليك I
ايه
call you you never answer.
يا ما اسمك ما في شيء ما فيش. So invitation جديد. Okay,
Can you
خلاص.
hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you, we see you. You're all good.
Okay.
Yes, so
Okay.
you have your fez. I have not gone down into the man cave to get out my fez, but I do have a hat on today. It is one of my favorite cafes in the world in Montreal near Atwater Market. It's called La Bicyclette, and it is très cute because it is on the Lachine Canal path in Montreal. And when the weather's awesome, that place is just like one of the best cafes in the world. And those of you who follow me know that I literally go all around the world and I rate and evaluate cafes for myself. And some of the best cafes in the world, I know where some of the best cafes in the world are. Here's the problem. One of my absolute favorites, Nancy said she rented a bike from La Bicyclette. Yeah, that's good. Did you rent a triple espresso like I do? Oh, the place is just beautiful, that neighborhood. I can't afford it, so I can't move there. But you can go. But I was just saying, one of my favorite cafes of my entire life closed down 2 years ago, and it's in Alexandria, Egypt, and it was called Pastrudis, and that place has been around for like 100 years. And when I went back to Egypt this last year, I said, "Hey, where is I take my tour group to Alexandria because I do this. I'm a tour leader of the history of the Special Air Service and intelligence operations in the Western Desert during World War II, and the Long Range Desert Group, all of that stuff." And so I get there, and the guy at the hotel who remembers me, he's like, "Oh, it just closed." I'm like, "Well, no, that's my favorite cafe." I literally have a notepad from the 1980s that I carried everywhere, a little leather notepad. And in the front were all the best cafes in the Mediterranean as I saw them. So I bought that with me and I was like, "Gosh, dang it. Missed out on that." So Pastrudis is one of my favorites. And La Bicyclette in Montreal is très cute and très different. So that being said, enough coffee talk. We should have a whole show on cafes. I could show
You
you some
got a coffee
cafes.
mug?
Let's see your mug. What's your mug?
Disney World.
Disney World. Are you chasing after Lindsey Graham? Did you get your Princess Sparkle wand?
That was
Uh,
my childhood bug, so I was like
It's
thinking, why not?
that's crazy. That's great that you have dreams, Wajeeh. You have dreams, Habibi. So I'm so glad
Did
for
you
you.
see the video I sent you last night about the Saudi guy?
No, what? You sent me a
He goes,
video.
I sent you a video on Substack. Saudi guy goes, Habibi Trump, come here, baby. Come here, baby. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you.
I want to talk to you. Khalas,
You
come here.
want Iran? You want Iran? Go take Iran. Go
Take,
take Iran.
take it on. I sit here. I have coffee. Okay,
You
so
you don't
speaking
want
of
to take Iran? Don't take Iran. But I want to buy a car. It's too expensive now.
Me too. Well, I am not doing great because my giant coffee cup collection's upstairs. And I do have a really extensive coffee cup collection. But today I just because it was emergency triple quadruple espressos, I just grabbed my C-SPAN Washington Journal
Yeah.
coffee mug. Nothing is more fascinating than going on C-SPAN, where one line is dedicated to attacking and insulting you. The other line is dedicating to say how awesome you are. And the third line are people who were there to talk about aliens and shit, right? You're just like, "Hi, you're on with Malcolm Nance on Washington Journal. What do you want to talk about?" It's like, "Well, you is one of them there spies. What do you know about all them aliens and their anal probes?" And you're just like, "Oh, that wasn't my area of operations. Well, you breaking them codes, you be learning them alien languages, ain't you?" And you're just like, and you just got to come up with something funny. And it's like, okay, let's go to the Republican line. "I hate you. You're a fake." I'm like,
Ah,
okay, and the problem is that I have to refrain from what I really want to say on Washington Journal, right? I mean, I call it straight. But when you're on C-SPAN, you actually have to deal with those people. So, of course, I just want to go, "Listen, this is no way to talk to your father." Okay. I could be your daddy and your secret daddy. But all of this craziness goes on there. Today, I don't have a tripod, so I'm going to have to do some manual things to show you what's going on. Wajeeh, has there been the ceasefire still holding in Lebanon, or did it break?
it's still holding almost by a thread. There was some shots here and there. There was some Israeli operations here and there, but so far it's kind of holding. Although that's all that I was able to find.
Well, tell you what,
We can
can
go
you
for
bring
it.
up the casualty count for everybody?
Yes.
And then the oil. I have to run and grab a battery that's in the next room because my laptop's about to go out of power. So give me a minute. You take off the charge.
The casualty count in Lebanon 2,167 killed, 7,061 people injured. Okay, I know my battery is low. I know. Palestine, 4 people killed. Israel, 26 people killed. 7,693 people injured. The U.S. is still 13 people killed. I think it's 500 people injured.
Mhm.
Saudi Arabia, 6 people killed, 3 people killed, 29 people injured. You have Oman, 3 people killed, 15 injured. UAE, 12 people killed, 224 people injured. Qatar, you have 20 injured, which is kind of impressive because they got a lot of attacks and they were able to defend themselves. Bahrain, they have 3 people killed. And then Kuwait, 7 people killed. And then we'll go to a good important number, 2,706 people killed. Is that's all under just the low, because we estimate that it could go up to 7,000 people killed in Iran. They're just still counting the bodies. 26,500 people injured. About 6,000 of those are military, and the rest of the 20 are all civilians. Iraq, you have 118 people killed. Good thing to mention in important thing to mention in Iraq is you do have Shi'i majority and Shi'i militias that have been active in the fight against the U.S. and against Israel, and that's why you have a slightly higher number than the rest of the neighboring countries. Do you want me to move to
Yes.
oil prices?
Yes, since this is a real oil war. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Everything went up.
Oh, that's interesting. The funny thing is we're all becoming experts on oil by the barrel. Um, is it because Donald Trump put out his "I did it my way" video, or is it because there's now shooting in the Arabian Gulf?
I
Or
think mostly because Iran made sure to shoot at several ships 2 days ago and yesterday as well. They
well, yeah.
shot at the French transport ship, and the day before that, they shot at a different ship. So all of the transport through the Strait of Hormuz is shut down. Iran has threatened again to shut down Bab al-Mandab last night, and if the U.S. were to go out, and then I think Iran's statements regarding Bab al-Mandab and them shutting down the Strait of Hormuz caused this 4.9 jump in the WTI crude. Mm, Brent crude is at 95, and then Marban is surprisingly lower than the Brent crude of the UK, which is very interesting for me.
Yes, that is.
Uh,
But it's not the
OPEC,
spot price. It's not the physical price.
yes, the spot price is still at 120, 130.
Yeah, it's much higher, probably. Okay. Thank you for that update on casualties and oil. No, the oil market, everything, the markets have just opened 15 minutes ago. So we'll see what happens. And you know what we're waiting for? And for those of you who are eagle eyed, we can't check the news in real time while we're briefing you. So for those of you who are eagle eyed and sitting your little watch stations, your Malcolm and Wajeeh intelligence watch stations, please let me know if Trump says anything stupid. Because, every time we get to the end of this program, some amazingly ridiculous statement comes out. And now, since he set fire to the oil market this weekend and allowed his friends to buy at the dip and it goes back up, he's going to say something redonkulously calming or redonkulously inflammatory. So I can't figure it out. In fact, there's a great comment that was made by the Israelis yesterday that says that they can't understand where Trump is coming from at all, and that if you put his statements into Chat GPT, it would just melt down the computer. That was an Israeli analyst. So, that being said, okay, Wajeeh, let's talk about the significant activities. One thing I would like to update you on: 2 days ago, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps used machine guns and opened fire on two tankers that were Indian owned. We later learned there was a third incident in which they opened fire with machine guns on a French CMA container ship, also forcing it to go back out of the traffic, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps traffic control scheme. So that's three. However, the significant activity of today is that yesterday the United States Navy, for the first time, enforced the blockade using force. And I am getting reports that loads of blockade runners and loads of Iranian associated ships that are tankers are leaving port, their underway places off Oman, and are getting underway without being intercepted. And here's why: there are only 6 ships that can actually chase you up there. And they are really expensive, multi mission, multi dimension warships, Arleigh Burke class destroyers. They have to shoot down incoming ballistic missiles, they have to shoot down air attacks, cruise missile attacks. 2 of them are permanently assigned to the Abraham Lincoln. So they cannot leave the immediate location of the Lincoln. So most of this blockade is being done with aircraft that comes down, and the surface search radar looks for ships, and we track them through the intelligence plot. It also goes back to Defense Intelligence Agency Commander. Well, it would go through Commander Fifth Fleet's headquarters in Bahrain, but that was all completely destroyed. So it's probably going through Commander Second Fleet or Commander Sixth Fleet's intelligence staff. And since ships are very big and very slow, you can literally plot them on a little chalkboard. But we use computers now to do this, and we can track that vessel's course speed in real time and compare it against the radars that we're seeing, and then satellite imagery that we're seeing also. So you can get a pretty good fix on a ship. Then we'll send an aircraft over because, why not send a $100 million F-18 to fly over that ship and go in there, right? So that being said, we go down there, we look at the vessel, we confirm its name, and then we get on international bridge to bridge from the aircraft or reconnaissance aircraft, and we go, unidentified tanker, blah, 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 you are violating U.S. blockade. And they read that Pete Hegseth written statement: the entire force of the United States Navy will be brought to bear, which is a mean trick since 9/10 of the U.S. Navy is somewhere else. But, yeah, I know it's funny. But that's how they keep track of these tankers. And then once it crosses past Chabahar, right, out into the open, then, we start scheduling a VBSS team, Visit Board Search and Seizure. Yesterday, the U.S. Navy engaged a ship called the Toska, Touska, an Iranian container ship that had over 2,000 containers that was destined for Iran. It is actually flagged somewhere else, but it is an Iranian associated vessel. Very interesting situation. For 6 hours, the United States Navy called and warned that ship. And what that tells me is there was not a warship anywhere near that ship. 6 hours is a long time. Okay, that means, Tosca, this is U.S. Navy warships. Don't break the blockade. Oh, really? This time we're warning you. And he's like, there's nothing out here. It took 6 hours for the USS Spruance to catch up to it. And that ship is very fast, right? And the Tosca is very slow. So the Spruance caught up with it. And here's how the progression of escalation usually happens. I've done it myself. Here's how it happens. First, verbal warning, right? Iranian container ship Tosca. This is U.S. Navy warship 121. heave to, you are violating the, such and such sanction or blockade, heave to, prepare to be boarded, right? Okay, khalas. He just keeps driving straight down the way. And then you go, Tuska, this is U.S. Navy warship. I'm giving you a third and final warning, right? You give him three warnings. Then you say, Tuska, we are going to, you are subject to engagement. And then what you do is you take your 25 millimeter gun. You don't use your big ass fucking 5-inch gun because those shells are expensive. And you get close to the front of the ship and you put some round in front of the ship so they can see little splashies of water. And you use the 25 millimeter gun because that shit's cheap, right? You don't want to be using your main gun. Okay. Then the third component of that is if the ship doesn't heave to, you put a visit board search and seizure team on board. You can come over in a small boat, throw a freaking Jacob's ladder up onto the thing and climb me up onto the ship. What's usually done is we use our Sea Knight helicopters. We put a VBSS team, and those VBSS teams don't have to be SEALs. They can come from the USS Spruance. We have trained VBSS teams all the time. I used to lecture at the VBSS school in San Diego. We have those happen all the time. And you come over on your little helicopter and then you just get really close and you drop a rope and everybody slides down and you go, woo. You go up to the bridge and you go, hey, we told you to stop. And then they go, oh, okay, we didn't hear you. Yes, Wajeeh.
The Houthis themselves have the capabilities of board and seizure.
Had the capabilities. We destroyed their only helicopter. So
Ah,
So they still can do it with small boats. They still do it with small boats. So anyway, anybody can VBSS, right? It just stands for visit, board, search, seizure. So that's the third option. The final option when they hold on for a second. Somebody's asking a question about the uh con- littoral combat ships, not littoral, but littoral ships. But anyway, the fourth and most extreme option is when they lock themselves into the bridge and like chain it shut. I've seen that on Iraqi ships. They'll run chains from a stanchion, that's a big beam in the middle of the ship. They'll have giant industrial sized chains and a goddamn jack, and they will jack that thing locked and then put a big lock on it. And you can't get through the doors and you can't shoot through the windows because the windows are like this, and then they just like sit and drink tea and laugh at you. And then they turn towards Iranian waters. And again, I've told this story. One SEAL platoon off of Qasr, Iraq, when they turned into Iranian warriors, they were like a kilometer from Iran's waters, and Iranian boats were coming out to say, hey, what's this tanker doing coming into our waters? The SEALs had to jump off the ship and get them back to their small boat to have them picked up. That happens because you don't want to be there because now you're subject to prisoner of war, or prisoner of war now. It would have been hostile government detention otherwise. So the extreme thing that you do, option 4, is that you fire a warning shot into the machinery room in order to disable it. To do that cleanly, you got to be really fucking close. Okay? Because if you're far away, now you're relying on wind, waves, your computer to put an accurate shot in there. And I have been on ships that have fired. When I was on the USS John Rogers, we fired off 500 rounds of 5-inch gun. Okay. When I was on the USS Wainwright, we fired 15 rounds of 5-inch to sink what remained of the Iranian patrol craft Joshan, with all hands lost. Okay. Nobody survived that engagement. So to come up to a tanker is like, it's sort of like Christy Nome and that puppy. Okay. It's sort of weird that you're like going to get alongside and you're going to shoot 3 shots. And from what I can tell, miss. They missed. I've watched the video. There are no impacts. on that vessel. And what happened is the crew probably said, all right, they're serious. Let's slow down. Let's stop the ship. So that's what happened to the container ship Tosca. It is now on their AIS, their automated information system. They are reporting vessel not under control, which means the captain, the master, is not running that ship. And from what I understand, the United States are going to bring it to a port. And according to Donald Trump, they are seizing the cargo for themselves. Okay.
Arr.
Right? Salty pirate ass shit. The problem is legally, I don't know whether that's legal because there is a state of war going on between the United States and Iran. Despite what people say, the Geneva Convention says armed conflict exists at the moment the first shot is fired, even if one party does not recognize the state of war. So the United States is still at war with them. They could sort of legally do this with this blockade, but they should be prepared for repercussions, right? Now, Trump came and made the amazing statement that the IRGC shooting machine guns at these ships was a violation of the ceasefire. No, because the Iranians weren't firing at the United States or any of the combatants in this war, Israel, or any of the Gulf states. They were firing warning shots at ships. But for Trump to do this shooting at the ship with the 5-inch gun, they jumped from step 1, verbal warning, to step 4. They skipped fucking everything else. They went 1, warning, 4, shoot at the ship, 3, right, visit board search and seizure, and just all over the place. This is some Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump bullshit. Because one, it's dangerous. Had there been flammable materials on board, Sal Marchigliano, the tanker guy, said, he says, these guys are sitting down there in the engineering room, 130 degrees in the shade, and suddenly a U.S. Navy 5-inch gun comes in and blows up in there, right, and sets fire to the machinery room, and the ship could explode. You could have killed everyone on board. And that right there would have been straight up fucking murder because the ship was not Iranian flagged and the crew were not Iranians. All right? This would be Venezuela shit, and they would probably win at court to recover not only the loss of the vessel, but the loss of lives. So there's a bunch of questions about this. We'll answer them at the end, right? Everybody asks, what's going on with the crew? They're going to bring this ship to Fujairah. Now, I'm wondering about that because Fujairah is an oil port, right? And what they have is they have containers on board. When we do VBSS school, they teach you how to go through containers, but they don't teach you how to go through all 2,000 containers, right? And, they teach you to go through some. It is arduous. And what we generally do is check the bill of lading, which is their, what's on the ship, to see if any of these containers may have things like chemicals. They have hazardous materials warning signs on there.
On
So,
average, how many containers does a training go through?
yeah, maybe 10. No one's
Just
going
10.
through 2,000. You got to break into them. And if the crews, here's what do I keep saying? The Iranian strategy for everything is, right? The chai strategy.
That's nothing. That's not even 1%.
I'm gonna sit up here on the bridge with the rest of the crew in our underwear and drink fucking tea. Hey, open these containers. No, fuck you. Open your own goddamn containers, super soldiers. All right? Khalas, we have chai we have to drink. So, and the Filipinos and these Indian guys who were there, they're losing their job. And so the question is where they're going to bring it. If they bring it into Fujairah, Fujairah is not a real container point. A place like Ras Korfan or another place in Oman, but the Omanis are probably not going to allow you to bring that off too. I doubt that the Pakistanis would allow that to go to Karachi to be offloaded, because now you're talking about assisting in the theft, or as we're calling it, a prize, right? Now, where's these supposed negotiations taking place? And guess who's not getting their oil? Pakistan. So the most likely, the United States will attempt to bring it into. Good question. Somebody's. They most likely will bring the vessel. Try to bring the vessel to Mumbai, and hope that they can get a contract with the Indian government. But guess what? Where's India getting all their oil? Here.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe they will sail it down to, this, or over to the Seychelles or someplace that will try to act neutral. But anybody that doesn't want to piss off Iran will not accept that vessel.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Go ahead.
India doesn't want to piss off Iran. Pakistan doesn't want to piss off Iran. Oman got a taste of an attack from Iran and understands the consequences of having any kind of pro-American assistance, whether it is accepting this type of boat or whether it is offloading the crews. They want nothing out of it. They don't even want to be part of the negotiations. And America is begging them to be part of the negotiations. How are you going to get the Omanis on board? I have no clue. But the Indians already don't want a piece of this fight, because they would have intervened a while ago.
I would suspect they would attempt to try Djibouti or Somaliland. I don't know if in those ports that they have because you got to have container cranes to move these off here. But whoever does it is subject to the wrath of the Houthis and the Iranians. But I do have some news. Somebody made the joke, what happens if the captain is Tom Hanks, right? Well, you're just going to have Joe Blow, mellow guy, doing that. But we have a photograph of the prize captain. The U.S. Navy sent over a prize captain. That's usually an officer who will steer the ship out. And there's a photograph of that captain assuming command right here. Here he is. He's being briefed by the White House even as we speak. And he is fully qualified from the look of him. So that is the prize captain who is taking command of the Tosca today. Is there no job he can do? I swear to God. So, and by the way, you people are ruthless. I mean, I'm sorry, the internet cannot be defeated. That just came up like moments ago. I mean, but I saved that because that one's for my collection. So from what I'm understanding is that the vessel was going to Chabahar, which is on the Pakistan-Iranian border, was trying to make Chabahar, which means that it would have been under Iranian water, so they took that reason. Also, it's chock full of Pete Hegseth bullshit, right? So let me see the Marines. Here they are. Here's a video of the Marines launching off of the USS Spruance here. I can give you all a taste of this video. Medicine, there's no audio. Central Command put this out. That's a Seahawk helicopter taking off with about 10 Marines on board. And you can see them, there's two helicopters. One is doing the fast roping while the other is there. And there they are, fast roping over the containers. Yay, this looks like fun. Yay, middle of the night. I get no coffee. The crew fucking hates me. And now we got to search fucking stupid ass containers for the next 24 hours. Right? So until until Captain Pegleg Rubio shows up. So that's how it's done. Again, you can see the containers there, and they have to fast rope down to that ship. So until Pegleg shows up with his parrot, the Marines have to sit around there and eat MREs.
You, you know the Marines will definitely use that in their advertisements. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, advertisements for what? I'm sorry, but that's, when you consider that they bought thousands of Marines, and it's like, yeah, no, we just need 10 of you. 10 of you to go fast rope down on a ship, you know? Somebody asked Blues and Bob asked, how badly was the ship damaged? We have no idea. I don't think it was damaged. I think the ship heaved too, because it is hard to hit a 5-inch gun. I saw the distances. I'll play the video for you. At that distance, that shell, shells don't go flatty, flatty, flatty. They go up and they come down and they have to strike their mark. And if you're trying to hit the tail end of a ship, right? Granted, let's say this is the ship, it has to come down with a measure of precision. Well, our guns are not designed for precision. They're designed as an area weapon. They explode. And if we hit you, yay. Usually it's the blast fragmentation and the splash that gets that. So, that being said, we are getting indications that a boatload of other Iranian tankers are moving around because there are not enough ships. And you can try to fly helicopters and Ospreys out there all you want, but there are only so many ships that can interdict you. This isn't the Caribbean where you got, half the U.S. Navy out there.
Didn't you say yesterday they only had 13 ships in that area?
Total, but the ships that could actually do visit board search and seizure and heave you too, like I said, there are 6 Arleigh Burkes destroyers. 2 of them have to protect the aircraft carrier. They're not involved, right? So that leaves you with 4 Arleigh Burke, maybe, and a Canberra class littoral combat ship. And then you can throw in 2 of the amphibious ships that don't really have guns, right? But you can't use the 2 helicopter carriers, so you could use the other 2 ships. But they're not going to get close to you because they don't have any real defensive weapons. They have to stay behind the screen of the Arleigh Burkes in case suddenly 100 fucking cruise missiles come out from Iran or drones. And those ships don't have the ability to defend themselves. Nancy Beeman says, send Captain Jack Sparrow. We don't have to. We have Captain Jack Rubio. He's already on his way. He's taking the prize. So, that being said, I just want to show you the video of the engagement using the 5-inch gun. And I will tell you, this is really not close. That's made the video. You can see the ship off here in the distance. And sorry,
Oh, that's far. That's
that's
at least a few miles away.
I would say 2 to 3 miles. But
Yeah,
a
that doesn't.
5-inch gun ain't going straight. So here's the video recording. And if my assistant could just stop sending me text for the next couple of minutes. Um, so here's the. Oh, now that's a mile. Vacate your engine room. Not even. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire. That's 4 honks for danger. Now, this is the ship shooting the 5-inch gun that pop, but they're really far now. Now they're about 2.5, 3 miles. It's still got to go up in the air, woo, and come down, beep, bloop, and it's going to miss because you could hit the ship, but you can't say where you're going to fucking hit the ship, right? So let's see the shooting. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Some more swinging, another miss. So now here's the ship is heaved too. Order vessel telescope. But there's no nothing coming from it. If that freaking 5-inch gun hits you, all of this back here will be aflame because it will go into after machinery, it'll go into the engine room. They should have come to this distance and used the 25 millimeter chain gun. And when it goes tapping up the side of the ship, chinka, 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 you go, well, that's not good. Then you heave to, and then you can be boarded by the ship's crew. No, they got to use a helicopter in the middle of the fucking night. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, my God. The drama. It's like they are trying to make a Marine Corps commercial. Yikes and yikes, guys. Watch it.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I
You're
said.
right. You're right, bro. You're right. You're right there. Okay.
Ah. Oh my God. Listen, when you said it was far, I saw the picture yesterday and I saw the close up picture. I didn't see the picture over I didn't see the video when they were far away and shooting. So when I heard that they shot at the engine room, I thought they shot at that range of that close up. But no, they shot at 4 mile range with the non-precision non-precision pistol, whatever you call it. I don't know my English language very well. But now that we're looking at it, we have one, broken the ceasefire, two, taken a vessel that is from Malaysia to Iran, three, we're supposed to take that as prize, ghanima in Arabic, exactly like the Islamic faith. What's the difference between you and the crazy extremist stealing property from other people? What is the difference between you and the Somali
Pirates?
pirates?
Yeah, well, we announced that we're Somali pirates.
Ah,
We announce it. We don't just come up and board your shit, steal your stuff. Okay, well, it turns out the Tosca was flying under an Iranian flag at the time, but hey, that was it's like this entire war is an afterthought. It's like the entire war is just, yeah, let's just do some cool shit, right? This is not the way it's supposed to be done. You don't go from number 1 to number 4. Right? And what it tells me is we didn't have a vessel with enough helicopter and that they wanted to land on it at night. You saw it. It's in the middle of the goddamn daytime at 2 miles, but then you see the VBSS team comes in at night. That's a disadvantage strictly to the VBSS team, to tell you the truth. You could have done it in daylight, unless you think that there are massive numbers of Iranian Revolutionary Guardsmen on board. There was not. Okay. That being said, in other news, by the way, we should check. Has Trump said anything crazy? Because it's time to manipulate the markets. It's 9:44, and I'm pretty sure that he has to say something nuts within the hour. Now, Al Jazeera has been told by Iran that Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps small boats were coming out from Chabahar and that the vessel hasn't been taken, but they lie. Both sides here really, really lie. So,
did you see the Trump administration now has to refund $166 billion in tariffs?
yes, I saw that, but that's U.S. stuff. So, now the next significant bit of news that I have on the big board.
Okay.
Oh, I'll
That's
save
what he
that till
said.
the end.
He,
Let's
he
talk
said
about
he said something an hour ago. He says that the
Halas.
energy secretary is totally wrong, and that the next year there will be $3 a gallon for gas.
Well, next year. Oh, yeah, next year. Halas, next year, no problem. I recall that it was 265 in upstate New York, which, by the way, is expensive. If it's 265 in upstate New York, if I cross down into Jersey near Mawa and I use the Wawa down there, that means it's going to be about 240. It's always 25 to 50 cents less than Jersey because they have all the refineries in Jersey. And then I mentioned that that's full service, right? Now it's $4.25. It went up $2 in less than 2 months. Thank you, Donald Trump, right? That's why I'm buying a hybrid for my next car. If you're a Saudi, thank you, Donald Trump. I see how it goes here. So, yeah. So this is an interesting picture. Somebody put this up. It says, if we're winning the war, why is the Strait of Hormuz closed to the U.S. Navy and allies? And this is the picture that they put up. No U.S. Navy, no U.S. Navy, toll booth. No U.S. Navy, U.S. Navy blockade. U.S. Navy high tensions. It's like, I'm not quite sure we're winning. Even at the worst, the highest tensions of the Iran-Iraq war, when we were fighting the Iranians, all of this, the U.S. Navy dominated all of that. But that was a different era. They didn't have thousands upon thousands of drones and anti-ship missiles, right? So, I mean, again, I have these guys who come in when I go on like Mario Nuafal and they go, oh, this guy's pro-Iran. Guys, intelligence is not here to give you
Mhm.
your version of events.
That's
It's to
right.
help you comprehend what's happening and for
Exactly.
you not to do, I don't know, something stupid because you had the wrong information. And we have way too many of these guys, okay, who believe that this is supposed to be a cheerleading podcast. Then you've never seen me on MSNBC. I've never pulled a punch a minute in my life. If it's a fact, it's a fact. If it's the truth, it's the truth. Khalas. For my next thoughts, um, I want to shift away from the Persian Gulf for a little bit because there's some significant things going on during the ceasefire with Israel and Lebanon. And one is that, as I keep telling you every day, based on my learned lived experience with the Israelis in 1983, 1984, they will prep to break a ceasefire. They will literally be like lions, right? That have I was going to say a Christian, lions who have a giant tray of meat laying out in front of them at the end of chains, right? And you're just like, just straining to jump in there and get that food. That's the Israeli army's standard MO. They always stay ready to launch an attack with minutes notice in case, as that story that Tom Friedman said, that a Syrian army soldier falls asleep on duty, drops his rifle, and it accidentally goes off. Boom! That unleashes a 13-hour, 2,000 round artillery barrage because they're just ready for you, anything to say that you broke the ceasefire. So while waiting around doing nothing during the ceasefire, I guess Israeli soldiers that went into Christian villages in
Oh my God.
southern Lebanon are preparing to occupy and destroy those villages by going full Gaza on them. And one of the things that they are doing is that in not one, but two separate incidents, Israeli soldiers are going into Christian villages and raising all symbols of Christianity. And the most famous one is this one here. This is an Israeli soldier taking a sledgehammer to a Jesus Christ crucifix, which was pulled down, I guess, by an armored personnel carrier and smashing Jesus's face with a sledgehammer.
Let's be blunt. This is called desecration of holy property. Let's
Desecration
not.
of holy sites. Now,
Yeah.
this is not a Hezbollah village. right? I find it fascinating that Israel worked with a group of Lebanese Christians called the Army of Southern Lebanon for almost 20 years. And most of those Christians moved to Israel, but their villages still stand and are occupied by Christians. And that the first thing that the Israelis would do is desecrate Christian objects, which means they are intending, it sends the message that they are intending to occupy these villages and make them kosher, which is funny because Christianity, as you know, is a follow-on religion to Judaism and Islam. So, Malcolm, that's got to be an isolated incident. And the Israeli army did put out a statement that this does not meet with our standards of civil affairs and civil treatment. They will find the soldiers responsible and hold them accountable.
How
Okay.
dare you? How dare you? I mean, an Israeli soldier, how dare you desecrate? That's all they will do, as usual.
Yeah, it's not like we haven't seen this before. So, um, I recall an incident in Gaza that I had really sincere concerns about at the time that it happened, where they were shooting everyone that came out of a church. And I said, that's got to be Hamas. It's got to be Hamas. Then when I started listening to the shooting, I go, that's American machine guns. That is not M4 rifles. That is like M240G machine guns, and Hamas does not have those. Okay, if as if to make their point, in another village yesterday, and I'm not getting down on the Israelis, I'm getting down on these fucking soldiers. Because I'm sorry, there is a part of the Israeli army now that is run by like MAGA. It's run by the extremist elements of the Israeli army. As if somebody said, F you, Israeli Army High Command. I'm going to destroy something in another village. This morning, this video emerged of Israeli army soldiers taking an armored personnel carrier and smashing the statue of St. George, the protector and patron saint of Lebanon. This is a combat engineering vehicle. Now, I don't know if any of you have been to Lebanon. That is an actual dedicated tank um, repair vehicle. It's a combat engineering vehicle that's built to drag tanks out. And they obviously had nothing to do. There's a bulldozer on the front of it. They obviously had nothing better to do than to desecrate Christian objects in Lebanon. Now, I know my good friend John Spencer spent a bunch of time with the Israeli army. I spent time with the Israeli army in 2024. And John believes that they are a very, very values based army. Most guys are actually very cool. Most guys are exceptionally cool. But there is a class of them that are total fucking assholes, just as there are in our army. And the Pete Hegseths exist to a deeper extent in their army because right wing extremist Jews who are of the Kahane High, we love settling and wiping out Palestinians, they exist. I'm not going to deny that at all. Yes, watch.
If you don't mind me, like taking a second just to discuss like that particular aspect, because I've spoken on Israel 24-14 times. I have friends in Israel. The problem is the absence of uh, authority or the absence of oversight.
Mhm.
We have done the hold that thought. We have done the prison study in Stanford where we had 10 students volunteer to be prisoners and 10 students volunteer to be prison guards. And in a matter of days, the prison guards abused the prison keepers, even though they knew that the prisoners, even though they knew that the prisoners are innocent.
And
That
Steve,
same. incident was repeated in Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq, where we had amazing U.S. soldiers that never broke U.S. laws, that were raising American children, that were going to church, all of a sudden commit heinous crimes in prison Abu Ghraib because the CIA and the U.S. military purposely did not give them any oversights or did not give them any rules. We saw them abusing people who are on the spectrum, people who
We
does
call
not
this
have.
we call this effect, especially like Abu Ghraib, that they, because George W. Bush and all of them took these tough lines, they believed that they had command authority from the president of the United States to carry out abuses. And I'm certain we're going to find that out with Trump and those guys, right? There are a lot of special missions out there that we don't know about that were in Iran, where they may have, you don't know who they would have shot. Don't forget, this is a man that pardoned a SEAL that was executing civilians. And his whole fucking SEAL platoon turned him in, right? Turned him in. And the only reason he got off is because Donald Trump pardoned him. So they love this idea of the big bad war, do whatever it is that you have to do. This is bad on all levels. First off, you're starting a fucking war with the Lebanese Christians who were siding with the Israelis. Remember how I've said this a couple of times before. I think this is not most Israelis. Most Israelis, they deal with Christians all day, all night, right? They dealt with the army of southern Lebanon. All those ASL Lebanese live in Israel now, right? This is a command climate that says F everybody. F everybody. We're taking those villages. They're our fucking villages. And most likely we'll be moving settlers into them at some time. So let's just take down all the symbols of Christianity. The general in charge of that division's not saying that. The captain above this stupid fucking soldier's not saying that. But there are guys there who are thinking it. And there's not guys like me. Okay, I was no bullshit. I got people to this day who are like, you were a total dickhead. Yes, I was. Because I have zero fucking tolerance for stupid shit. And this is stupid shit. I'd court-martial somebody for this. The Israelis are going to bring him off the line. We'll find he's a goddamn reservist combat engineer. And they'll be like, you're just going back into training. We'll remobilize you in a year. Bye. Right? But right now, you've just lost the Lebanese Christians. Because you know who's going to spread that video? Hezbollah. And they're going to go, these are your buddies? We've never desecrated your villages. Well, maybe.
And
I'm sure they have.
I said this on your podcast 2 days ago. Michel Aoun, and I was kind of giving them shit because he is the Christian representative, the president of Lebanon, who is already pro-Israel, meeting and sitting down with the Israeli government about doing peace talks and demilitarizing Hezbollah when he has no authority over Hezbollah. If they really wanted someone to represent the Shia community, they would have sent the Speaker of the House to go and negotiate on behalf of the Shia community so he can go back and speak to the leaders of the Shia community. But now you're absolutely correct. They also probably have lost Michel Aoun after this attack. Why would Michel Aoun be pro-Israel in front of his people? He could be pro-Israel behind his people. When Israel is doing public attacks like this on their holy sites. I mean, Lebanon is a very old country with a lot of history with Christians, just like it's the Levant. It's connected to Palestine. It used to be all one area. It is a holy site for Christians.
Don't forget, as they like to say, they're Phoenicians who became Christians, right? They don't like to say they're Arabs. They're in these Christian communities that go back to the first century. Did I say century? That go back to within 50 years of Jesus Christ. Okay? I mean, every apostle that went to Turkey, they didn't board a bus. Okay? Mary, mother of Jesus, right? Saint Bartholomew, Saint Nathaniel, they freaking walked through Lebanon up to Turkey to Ephesus, right? They went through there and preaching the gospel. That's how old these communities are. And if you want to destroy them, and if I think there are a lot of Israeli soldiers that are hard right wing, and I wish Dan Demendenberg, I'm calling him our Jerusalem correspondent, our Tel Aviv correspondent. He's always asking questions here. I would like to hear the average Israeli's thoughts about this, because it looks like you're prepping to take those villages and Gazify them or prep them for settlers. All right. And that's not good. Okay. Let's move on from Lebanon. Iraq, as if we don't have enough enemies. The United States has suspended security cooperation with Iraq because of the Iraqi militias. And apparently, we don't trust the Iraqi government anymore. We have decided to stop sending money or Iraqis' dollars to the Iraqi central bank. It's almost like we are prepping to give Iraq back to Iran and to give it to the Shia militias that are the majority. And the last thing you want is one, all those Iraqi F 16s and anti aircraft systems now aimed against you and Israel. And you know what that means? They'll kick us out of the embassy and they'll kick us out of Al Assad Air Base, where we dominate. And we'll probably go up to Iraqi Kurdistan, which is not its own separate country. It's part of Iraq, but we can't just keep
What
breaking
Trump
things.
is doing to the great nation of the United States, that is becoming decrepit day after day, is exactly what the last Ottoman sultans were doing to the Ottoman Empire, which is isolating the empire from the rest of the world and choosing small decisions at a time that isolate them from their allies, isolate them from their infrastructure. And now we are looking at the United States that has lost so many African allies to China, has lost Middle Eastern allies to Turkey and Iran.
We walked away from Africa. We gave Africa to China because we don't want business of black people. We're closing 17 consulates and embassies in Africa because he hates the N word, right? Remember, he called them shithole countries. And he
Yes,
doesn't even understand it. He's destroying our markets we created. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you have not interrupted me. The United States, if it keeps going in this path of isolationism, it will face a lot of economic hardships in the future reality, and it will lose to other defense pacts. The GCC nations themselves that were dependent solely on the U.S. protection have dramatically changed their strategy of defense from one ally to multiple allies at the time. They have been establishing within the last month and a half alliances with Italy, Ukraine, the Brits, and expanding it to Russia and China. Meanwhile, the United States sent Marco Rubio saying that Trump was disappointed in Mohammed bin Salman for signing a defense agreement with Ukraine,
Right.
and Mohammed bin Salman. And that was a day after Trump said in front of Saudi investors that he made Mohammed bin Salman kiss his ass. And instead of Mohammed bin Salman telling Marco Rubio, go tell your president to kiss my ass, he basically said, and he was very respectful, tell your president we had a protection treaty with you where you were supposed to protect us and you failed to. Now we're going somewhere else.
This is crazy. Sorry, I'm just checking Truth Social. As a matter of fact, someone also noted a moment ago, how is it possible he hasn't put anything out in the first hour? What? Somebody just got it. Al Jazeera says. We just got a comment from somebody who's an eagle-eyed. He's so full of shit. What did we say about within the first hour, after stoking the market up and making oil go back up close to $100, he would say something like, peace is broken out, and it'll drop again, and his buddies will make another almost $750 million, right? Vladinator says, Al Jazeera, Trump says Iran deal will be signed today. By who? Look around, man. Wait.
Where's the deal? Hold on.
Holy cow. The deal's here somewhere. It's got to be signed. Look, wait. I have a pen.
Oh, yeah, let's sign something.
Oh, wait. And here's what it says. This is clearly not Trump's pen, but this is crazy, kooky, crazy talk, guys. Kooky, crazy talk. This is not actually happening. That he's going to say that. So what the hell? Okay, Wajeeh, there's a question for you.
Ask ahead.
Oh, by the way, one last thing in the news. When the U.S. Air Force F-15 was shot down, I guess Trump believed that was told by Pete Hegseth nothing could ever happen to U.S. forces. And when the aircraft was shot down, he was, the quote is, screaming at his staff for hours about how this could possibly happen. Screaming at his staff because it's a loser thing. It's failure to lose an airplane. We're omnipotent and nothing can ever happen to us. Did he not notice that an F-35 took one right up the ass the week before and barely got back alive? Right? This is bizarre. Anyways, okay, let's go to the questions. Azra Bibi says, please ask Wajeeh how the GCC are now thinking about the state of the war. Are they all jumping ship or staying in?
There's countries like Oman and Qatar who want nothing to do with this. Even they are trying their best to stay away from peace negotiations, and the U.S. is pressing them very hard to at least be part of the peace talks. Saudi Arabia wants to be very peaceful in public, but then behind the lines, they are working on the crippling Iranian capabilities. The UAE, which already is integrated into the Israeli intelligence apparatus, is the most hawkish of the bunch. And I think the Kuwaitis are just eating popcorn on the side.
Well, Kuwaitis are just terrified they're going to get hit again. They've really killing those desalinization plants. That's quite the warning.
But like what I said, they're all now looking for a multi-security alliances and defense alliances rather than just the U.S. Defense alliance. And if you pay close attention to diplomatic visits from these countries, whether into and out of the GCC, they're all going to European and Asian nations at the moment for security alliances away from the US. I said this, the GCC is old money. When they shut the door on your face, they don't slam it. They close it very slowly without you knowing that the door got closed.
Yeah.
So they'll do small things at a time.
Yeah, like show that they're defunding Trump Tower. Riyadh,
Yeah.
Trump Tower, Qatar, Doha. They'll say, "Khalas, we have no money." Okay.
Mhm.
Joan Voorhees asked, did you hear anything about the rescued pilots? We haven't heard a peep, and it's about time, wouldn't you say? I think he is waiting for the war to end. Then he will give both of those pilots air medals for the amazing achievement of getting shot down and surviving. He will be giving out a bunch of silver stars, bronze stars, maybe even a Medal of Honor for losing $300 million worth of aircraft to those air crews. Special operations guys went and rescued them. That was a big rescue, but wasn't the most. I got to be honest with you, as a survival, evasion, resistance, and escape school instructor, I have read most of the original debriefs of some of these armed recoveries. And there was one armed recovery that warranted a Medal of Honor. And then the same guy's buddy rescued him, the former Medal of Honor winner, in North Vietnam, along with another guy, and tread water for like hours till a submarine could come get him with wounds to his butt and his shoulders, and swam into the ocean with 2 wounded SEALs. Yeah, that was another Medal of Honor. Y'all gonna have to convince me. But that's how Trump will do it. He'll have a whole victory parade and celebration. What if cargo ships coordinated so as many as possible try to go through the strait at one time? That's possible if they're doing that. Did you see the Wall Street, that Democracy David says, did you see the Wall Street Journal report? UAE says the U.S. started the war, and if the United Arab Emirates runs out of U.S. dollars, that they will give U.S. dollar swap currency lines, or they will sell oil in Chinese yuan, which could be the end of the petrodollar, right? We've dominated it since oil was found. And if that happens where people can't trust our money anymore, it's already happening, right? And don't forget, they take Trump coin in Iran. Okay, do you have any comments to that? Good.
No, not that much.
Okay. Jan Adante says, I've been wondering what the heck happened to the EOD Navy troops they loudly said were headed there, and then they never did a thing. Explosive ordnance disposal is always out there. There's a lot of EOD out there. It's other troops, the special forces. We have the Rangers, the airborne troops. Those guys are sitting in the desert, sucking, hating life right now because they're pretty sure we're not going to jump into Iran. And it turns out, I think I mentioned this yesterday in the Wall Street Journal report about how Israel talked him into the war, that Trump did not want to lose one soldier more than 13, because that means he would have lost more soldiers than Biden, that Joe Biden did on that last day in Afghanistan. And he said that they flat out, even though he was talking shit every day, flat out ruled out, you will not attack, put forces into Kart Island. It'll just be attacked over and over again. So I think it's all show now. The Iranians, they read the Wall Street Journal. They know it's all show now, too. Okay, wow. That's being good for a relatively slow news day. We will have to see tomorrow, because tomorrow is day 14. No, 13 of a 14-day ceasefire. The ceasefire runs out on Wednesday. And we're going to have to see if we are going to be back at war on Wednesday. Now, Trump said a couple of days ago he's willing to extend it 10 more days. Iran never agreed to that, and no one is in Islamabad. And I don't know where he thinks these negotiations are going on. He thinks they're going on between A and B. So with that, Wajeeh, do you have anything you'd like to say to our lovely audience before we go?
Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are watching a recording. You are not watching it live. Please come to Malcolm Nance, Substack.com, and subscribe to his channel. If you are not a paid subscriber and you're able to become one, please consider becoming one. If you're not, that's okay. We're here to spread the information as much as we can. We do this full time, so you don't have to do it full time. I will have my own personal Q&A after this, just to answer questions about the Middle East, things that you don't understand. I'm happy to answer. Appreciate you having me in the space, Malcolm, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, we will see you all tomorrow. I'll see whether I'm here or whether I'm back in lovely Montreal. I had critical work I had to come back to the United States for today. All right, guys, take care. Thank you all for coming. We will see you tomorrow.